Hello there, welcome to another unlockyoursound.com tutorial with myself, Chris Carvalho. The goal of this tutorial is not something very specific, but I was talking to my friend Jake recently, and he was interested in hearing about my drum programming workflow. And during discussion, I realised that my workflow is probably quite different to a lot of people who might have only started using Logic since 9 or 10. Now, I'm just going to create a new project here. I understand that what a lot of people are doing is that they're going straight to the library by going to Open Library here, and or using Drum Machine Designer and loading something from the library there. The way that I do this is actually really old school. So in terms of making drums, I will make an ultra beat, for example. I'm going to choose stereo for now. And in terms of how I layer my MIDI using ultra beat, I don't use the session view. Not because I have anything wrong, have any problem with that. It's just not the way that I do it. But this is the way that I layer my drum MIDI, and it's the same way actually that I layer a lot of MIDI, my synth MIDI, my lead MIDI, my chords and what have you. The process is, so for example, first of all, I'm just going to create a region, and I'm just gonna double click on that, and I'm gonna put some drums, some kicks in. Okay, first of all, I'm actually going to load one of my preferred presets. Let's go with 09, vintage 09. So it's like a 909. Okay, and I'm just going to put some 4 to the floor down there. Okay, cool. Now I'm just going to close that. And I'm going to click on the region here, open the region inspector and loop. So there is my kick. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to double click underneath this one, which creates another track, but I'm not actually going to use that track. I'm going to right click on that track, or control click, reassign track, mixer, software instrument, and instrument 1. So the same instrument as I got my kick out of. So I'm going to click on that. Now these are the same. These are just 2 separate track headers for the same track. Okay, so for example, if I adjusted the volume fader there, it adjusts both of them because they are one and the same. I just have 2 lanes for the same instrument now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a MIDI region on the second lane, and I'm just going to put my snare here. And then I'm going to repeat the process. Now, in order for this option, this reassign track option to appear there when you do control click, you have to make sure you have advanced tools on under the preferences. My advice is for any confident Logic user to enable that. So go to advanced tools and just enable all of them, and then just continue working. So that allows me to reassign track, mixer, software instrument, instrument 1. Now I'm just going to start layering some more drum MIDI. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm able to layer MIDI data, yet only use one instrument, which means which improves workflow because I'm not loading multiple ultra beat, and it helps CPU resources because it's only one synth. Just to validate that, actually, you see here it's all one synth on my. It's only one software instrument track on my mixer, but I have multiple MIDI lanes. So if I'm building an arrangement, it means I can build my arrangement. I might want the snares to come in then, and I want the open hats to come in then. But it's all one synthesizer. What's cool about Ultra Beat as well is that obviously I can go into Ultra Beat and I can adjust the volume per voice here. so I could lower the kick drum a little bit if I wanted to, and basically mix my drums within Ultra Beat, and obviously everything that you have available to you in Ultra Beat, which I'm not going to go into in this tutorial because that's a whole thing. But yeah, simple as that, guys. I could do the same with a synthesizer. So I load up a software instrument track, load up my retro synth, and then close that. And then this MIDI region, for example, could be my chords, and then I would double click underneath that track, reassign this track header as another one for, again, that synth. Actually, you could call these, you could name these differently, even though they are the same synth. They're different track headers. So chords and lead. I could layer my lead. So this is quite useful if you make your music vertically and then you go horizontal and then you spread out the arrangement. This is very useful for you. So basically the gist is, guys, I've got 5 track headers. I've got 5 different lanes of MIDI information. Yeah, I'm only using 2 synths. Okay, so this might help you with your drum workflow. It might help you with your general workflow in composing music in Logic Pro. Let me know what you think about that, guys. You know, this might be succeeded by workflows you already use that are more modern and more Logic X or Logic 9 based. But I've been using Logic for a long time, and that's why I use these workflows, because I always have, and they were pretty much the only workflows available at the time. I know with Drum Machine Designer, for example, you can create tracks per different cells. It's just not the way that I do it. And I don't use the library because, not because I don't want to, but because, you know, it loads channel strips with lots of plugins and stuff like that. Which sometimes is just too, you know, sometimes those sounds are just bigger than life and they don't necessarily fit in the context of a mix. There's only so much space in a mix. And I think, you know, where I hear a mix that I don't like, or if I hear a mix that, you know, I feel has room for improvement, which I'm sure all mixes do, you know, there's no perfection in music, but if 9 out of 10 times it's too busy of a mix rather than not busy enough, in my opinion. But this stuff is subjective. So anyway, guys, I hope that's been useful. It's just, even if it's just for the sake of having another workflow to fall back on, if your current workflow isn't working for you, or if you're just looking for lots of different ways to do similar things, this is the way that I've always done it for many, many, many years, since old versions of Logic. So you might think it's outdated and just old school and legacy. Cool, that's fine. But I know when I was speaking to Jake, and I've spoken to other people about this, they've never even come across this sort of workflow before. You know, they're not even necessarily, they've never even considered the possibility of having multiple track headers and layering MIDI information, lots of, you know, MIDI regions on top of each other that are actually going to the same instrument. Okay, so anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling on, but please let me know what you think. I'd love to discuss this and see what workflows you use that are similar to this, or if you think that this is actually a rubbish way and outdated, please let me know. I'm always open to hear things, but that's just the way I've always done it. So let me know what you think. Cheers.